Uppy, uppy, uppy. It's one funny morning. I'm Dana Blizzard, and it's too early in the morning. This is the dumbest show in the whole world.
From Monday
to Friday.
Sometimes on Saturdays.
Why would you say that in front of all these people?
Dean stinks.
You never know what's gonna happen.
That's your Dateline voice?
I don't know.
It wasn't good.
It wasn't.
It's not a chicken leg. This is a chicken leg.
Look at that manhole cover on my face.
Not a bad rendition of me. Hold on.
It's such a small town. So if you're walking, people just be like, "Do you want to ride?" It's like they don't need Uber. They
what?
just have.
What?
They just pull over. They give you a honk,
No.
and they're like, "We know your brother. We'll give you a ride to school or whatever."
That's called
our small
murder
town.
in New Jersey.
What's outside your Puerto Rican?
That's Stella! Yeah!
Hi, I'm Annie. And I'm Yetsi. And our Nana's Cookie Space, and we're gonna make cars honk. Cookie Space. And we're gonna get cars to honk. And here's Dina Blizzard.
Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. Good morning. Good morning. Toot, toot. I love it. If you missed what just happened and the adorable video that just played, which you can't see TikTok, so it doesn't matter. Cookie Spice just made a video of her kids being adorable, and they called her Cookie Spice. I think that was the best part of the whole video. They were like, yep, we're Cookie Spice's grandkids. Oh my goodness. Hilarious and adorable. Oh my gosh. Good morning. Good morning. It's Friday. Friday. Who's got plans for the weekend? Good morning, Missy. Good morning. Good morning. Cool grandma in the house. I love it. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Candace, happy birthday. Cookie Spice. As I mentioned, we are still in need, always in need of intro videos. You can do anything you want in your intro video, but remember, one of you will be awarded Best Intro Video of the Year, and there are already some in the running. And we like to meet you and your family and your friends. And Cookie Spice, I believe, has the record for the highest number of videos that have been sent in. Now we're meeting her chickens. We've met her grandkids who also call her Cookie Spice. And I hope one day when I have kids that they call me Cookie Spice. Grandkids. Everybody's like, because it's like a big deal to pick your grandmom name. Some people pick grandmom. Missy, what are you, Mimi? I think Chris is Cece. Everybody got their name. I don't know. Cookie Spice might be on the list for me. They'll be like, you want to be called what? Cookie Spice. Cookie Spice. It's a very odd name for a grandmom. Hey, Phil. Dina and Dina. I'll take it, Phil. My mom. Yep. That is better than that, Kezia. I don't know where that came from. I'm Mima. I started as Nina. Now you're Nini. Okay. I don't know. Missy, am I right? Are you Mimi? Nana Mimi? Cat Bear? My last watching live. Start a new job Monday and I won't be able to watch in the mornings. Tam, what job did you get? Congratulations. I'm zany. I wanted to be Roxy, but the family vetoed it. I'm Mimi. I'm Mimi. I'm Jima. I always think Jima is such a funny name. I remember I was hosting Miss New Jersey one year, and this girl saw you years ago on stage at the Comedy Stop at the Trop. Oh, Phil, you going back. That's a long time ago. I haven't been in that club forever. It was such a great club. I was hosting Miss New Jersey, and there's a little girl on stage, and you had to be 5 years old to be on in this like thing on stage, and she was like 3, and it was obvious she was 3. I don't know if you can tell the difference, and the difference between a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, but they might still be peeing their pants or something. Like, it was obvious. I was like, "Girl, how old are you?" She's like, 3. I go, "Did you know that you had to be 5 to be in this?" She's like, "My mom lied," and I was like, I love her. I love everything about this kid. I said, "Well, can you point to your mom? Can you point to the liar?" And she did. She pointed her mom out in the audience. And I said, "Who are the people with the liar in the audience?" And she was like, "That's my G-mom and my G-pop." That was the first time I ever heard somebody call their grandmom G-mom and G-pop. And I was like, "What's a G-mom? Is that like her gangster name?" Like, I don't know. It's kind of a good name. Mm-hmm. Phil said, "I tried to pick you up and I struck out." Really? Zero recollection. No offense, Phil. I don't remember that. I'm not saying it wasn't memorable. I'm sure it was. I'm just saying that I think I'm pretty oblivious if someone is trying to pick me up. You know what I'm talking about? Has anybody ever, like, I feel like no one has ever tried to pick me up. That's what I feel like in my life. No one has ever tried to pick me up. That's what I go with. Mm-hmm. Okay, talking late 80s. Wouldn't expect you all to be called. Late 80s? How old was I in the late 80s? 19? I wasn't at the Comedy Shop. Phil, I think you talk about a different girl. Mm-hmm. Inpatient coding job. Very nice. My mom goes by Moo for all the grandkids. My kids call me Big G Bob. I am grandmom. I love my grandmom and wanted to be just like her. Maybe the 90s. All right, Phil, you're getting a little closer. Still not doing stand-up, though. Phil, I think you're talking about a different girl. He was like, she had dark hair. And she was funny. All right, will you go out with me then? I feel like Phil is working his way up. It was the 80s. No, I was in 5th grade. Okay. It's the 90s. No, still not. Okay. Mm-hmm. John Kensel. John Kensel is a very funny comedian. John Kensel, if you're at a show, do you know if a lady's trying to, like, pick you up? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I feel like girls don't ever know. It's like when you don't remember when you're in high school? I remember. So the guy, Cat Bear's trying to help you out. You know how, like, when you're in, I had a boyfriend in high school, my senior year of high school. The entire junior year, we were in a class together. And the entire junior year, he used to walk into class, throw my books on the floor, and laugh at it about it. And I hated everything. And we started dating in senior year. And he was like, "I always liked you." And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah, I always liked you." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't pick up on that at all." And he was like, "Dina, don't you remember?" He's like, "I was always flirting with you." And I was like, "I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "Don't you remember every day I used to throw your books on the floor?" And I was like, "Yeah, I hated it." He's like, I was like, he goes, "That was me." Yeah. People always tell me guys are flirting. I just think they're being, I don't think women know. I think other men can be 40 yards away and be like, "That guy was totally hitting on you." You're like, "What?" Like that. Yeah. Gray's coming in. They are. I don't know how I feel about them, but it is what it is. I'm not starting over. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that ish they did as a kid, ineffective. I think some of them still do it now in, like, weird, dumb ways. Can't. Mm-hmm. Nap time, Kathy. Yeah, how are we supposed to know, Candace? I don't know. Hey, Pam. So yesterday was funny. I was down the shore. Carrot came down. Brooke came down. Helped me with the house, yada, yada. Because my renters are coming in. And by renters, I mean Diana. And by Diana, I mean she's not paying anything. She's not really a renter. And that's a little bit in my crawl. But she comes down today. But it was a good time to practice flipping the house. And I just kept losing that. Like it took me a month to plan there's boxes and there's like, this is renter sheets number 1, renter sheets number 2. These are our sheets. It's everything. Yeah. So I keep trying to figure all that out. And Sherry's like, you did a really good job. It looks really nice. I said, thank you. She's basically a squatter. Thank you. Anyway, I don't get home until really late. I had my writing class last night. I don't get home until really late. I'm tired. I just wanted to do my research for today because we have an amazing guest coming on and sit down. So it's like late. So I come home and I scoot this way. I scoot over here to the bar and I swipe a bottle of bourbon off the bar and then I start scooting back. Well, I had to let the dogs out. So I'm letting the dogs out and I'm standing. I'm standing by the door waiting for the dogs. And Dean comes upstairs and he was like, what's happening? What are you doing? And I was like, what? I'm letting the dogs out. He's like, have you seen you? I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, are you planning on drinking and driving? I was like, what? I was like, what are you saying? He goes, look at you. You're on a scooter. You're hanging out by a back door and you have a bottle of bourbon in your hand. Where are you planning on scooting to after you drink this bottle of bourbon? This probably does look odd. But this is just called a lovely evening to myself. Yeah. I don't have that kind of energy, Judy. I actually don't. I don't even have the kind of energy. I think I would have flirted back with a fist to the face. Exactly. I love that you're all singing that song. So, Dina, are you still doing stand-up? At the moment, Phil, my leg is broken. So I am doing a lot of, I'm doing a lot of, Phil, basic human things like trying to feed myself, trying to bathe myself. So no, and write a book, which isn't going out at all. So no, I have not. Yeah. Not really a stand-up, more of a sit down. Oh, Carolyn. Tomorrow is the last day. Thank you for the reminder. Tomorrow's the last day for Phillies tickets. It looks like Carolyn just got a ticket. So if you're planning on joining us, I believe it's August 14th. We're going to go to the Phillies game. Guys, it's Italian American night. Everybody has to have the horn. Everybody get your Italian horn ready. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm sure Dean's going to show up, bada bing, bada boom, like Dino Pecorino. I don't know what his name is. Dino Barbarino. What was his name? Dino Blizzardio. Yeah. The umbrellas on the way. The umbrellas are so nice. Also on Sunday, we have our first ever in-house with Cookie Spice, and Diana will be cooking those spice cookies, so it should be super yummy. And so that will be happening. So yeah. Yeah, Italian Heritage Night. Teresa, I may change his name to Dino Pecorino. Who is the extra hand? I think it's mine. Yeah. Oh, changed some of my flights with layers in the middle of the day. Oh my gosh. I did, Jessica. I signed all of them. And then I had to take a very long nap. I was just like, I need to go to bed. Yep. New merch is tomorrow. We've never been this close to a deadline before. I have to go pick up the hats. It's hot out. It is hot outside. Yep. Hopefully Dean will get on the big screen. It's Friday. Did you get clean socks? I had socks yesterday. And now I don't have any socks. They brought 2 up. 2. Joey, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Not even drinking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Steph, it is different over on the TikTok. Mm-hmm. So, Melanie, what? You don't know. Mm-hmm. I know. Sam, they didn't. Most of these ladies are drunk anyway. Mm-hmm. Dean, for those of you that are newer to your channel, can you tell us the story of how the leg became? Well, Phil, it started with I didn't want to hurt myself. There were some chores I had to do at the shore house. And so I hired a handyman and he was hanging a flag. And I said, it looks great there. And he said, why don't you back up so you can see it? So I took a step back up again so you can see it, back up again. And he left his drill in the middle of the driveway. And I stepped on it. And just the way I stepped on it came up and hit me in the leg and broke my leg. Yeah. Which means I have old lady bones. I didn't even fall. Yeah. Cassie, you don't know what you're saying. Remind me to never give you my passwords, girl. You are not wrong. Mm-hmm. I don't think he saw it, Barb. It was all. Mm-hmm. It was all just an accident. Yeah, bad luck. So, yeah. So, anyway, Stephanie, I talk to myself all the time. And I'm not nice sometimes. Mm-hmm. Did you realize it was broken immediately? No, I decided to walk on it for a day. It just so happened that day my kids got sick. Jacqueline and Dean both were sick. And I knew I'd be down the shore, so I had mom guilt. So I went to the Acme and I made homemade soup. So I walked through the Acme, and that was hard, when your legs are broken. But I didn't know it was broken. And I just thought, I sprained it. You know how sometimes a sprain, they say, a sprain can be just as bad. It's not. Broken is bad. And then the next day I couldn't walk at all. I was like, well, this seems to be moving in the wrong direction. And so my mom was like, you probably broke your leg. That's how she sounds. And so I went to the urgent care to prove that it wasn't broken. And I was like, you guys, this is a waste of time. It's not broken. Just tell me it's not broken and go home. And then they were like, it's broken. Mm-hmm. I used to sprain my ankle, then tape it up and play soccer again the next day. You're like, what? What? Mm-hmm. Maybe an early weekend, the system crashed for work. Yes. Really, Beth? You mean you went in and broke the system? Because sometimes people need. Mm-hmm. Do you have any pain now? Not really. It's actually a little better. I'm just past the 2-week mark. So it feels better, but it's still swollen. It's real weird. It's just, I have cankles. I have a cankle. I don't have cankles. Mm-hmm. I just have cankle. And I don't know how I feel about cankle. I don't know how I feel about anything. Mm-hmm. I work remote. Beth, so you don't really work. I love the idea of working remote. Like if I work for somebody, I'd be like, yeah, I'm at work. But I'd be like at the salon. Mm-hmm. Are you supposed to ice it? No, that would have been at like the beginning. I mean, I guess I could at night, but I just put it up. I think I renovate houses too much and I should sit down. Mm-hmm. I have not been back to the doctors, Kelly. They don't want to see me. They don't want to see me until the end of June. So it is what it is. Mm-hmm. I know, Colleen. There's that whole put your leg up thing. I try to do that, but it doesn't go well. So anyway, so we are coming up on a number of exciting events for Jacqueline Blizzard. It is her senior year of college. Woo! Who thought we'd get here? So we've got graduations coming up. We have senior theses to attend. We have improv shows. We have Drexel Night Lives. We have stand-up competition. It's exciting. So June is going to be all Jacqueline all the time. And then right in the middle will be Brooke's birthday. Nobody knows about Brooke's birthday, but Brooke vaguely remembers that it's her birthday. But this is going to be all Jacqueline all the time. And I don't think she's going to like it. She'll be like, why do you want to spend so much time with me? I'm like, because you graduated, which means mommy's done. 2 out of 3. I walked around Disney World with a fractured ankle, injured it before I left. Thought it was sprained. Got it checked when I came home to find out it was fractured. Tracy, wasn't it swollen? It's so funny because your feet, whatever bone you break in your, like mine's not a foot bone. Mine is my leg. But when people break like a bone in their foot, it's the recovery of that is real specific based on which bone it is. Like it could be like a little bone. They'll be like, that's it. You're out for a month, or 6 weeks. You're like, it's just a tiny little bone. And then other bones are like, yeah, that's fine. You'll be fine. It's so weird. It's all, the foot's amazing. You never really think about the foot until it's broken. Her degree is in photography, Judy, which if you wanted to get an idea of how she feels about it, I believe she said to me, I literally will never take another picture for the rest of my life. And that is exactly what I wanted to hear just before she graduates, and I paid for all of it. So, yeah. So it's going really well. Yeah. This tiny bone, cast up to your thigh. This little bone, tape it to the neighbor and move on. You're not wrong, Carrie. They're like, these two toes are broken. They're like, just tape it up. You'll be fine. That's it. That's it. I'm like, this other tiny, tiny little bone over here is broken. We're going to cast you up to the thigh. What? I broke both feet within 2 years of each one. Crazy. Got to go and make the 7 and 8-year-old breakfast. Y'all be well. Thanks, Phil. Phil's new here, but he's a chatty fella. Nice to see you, Phil. I snapped my feet and walked to the video store to return my video so not to get a late fee. What? No, she's not going to use her degree, Kelly. She's going to do what her dumb mom did, which is get a degree, even a master's. See, Melanie, you know where I'm going. A master's degree. And then be like, you know what? This was a waste. Let's take a $200 comedy class. This will be my career. That's what I did. I don't know where she got this dumb idea. Yeah. Yeah. Phil's a moderator on my lives. He's pretty great. I don't think I've ever met him before, Chris Bass. Please never change that. Please never. It adds so much flavor to who you are as a person. I just watched 2 of Brad Upton's videos on YouTube. Hilarious. I've also shared them. Who actually uses their degree other than accountants? Yeah, raise your hand. Raise your hand. First, tell me what's your degree. So like I would write biology/comedian. Like what would your slash be? Like Missy would be what, your English major, Miss? Like English major/comedian. What would be your thing? Like biology major, comedian. Elementary ed/teacher. Legal secretary. Tanya, can you get a degree in that? Pharmacist/pharmacist. Amy, we have a lot of pharmacists here. We have a high count of pharmacists. Elementary ed/business analyst. Psychology/mom. I'm a pharmacist. I use mine, except I don't use anything I learned. I just deal with the dum-dums all day. Biology, medical technology. Yep. All right. business management / postal worker. That doesn't make sense. Accounting / family support worker. Oh, Margarita. Social work / retired. That's the best. Communications, NBC researcher / archive department. Okay. Nursing / house cleaner. Okay. Special ed / mom. Speech pathology / speech therapist. So Sharon, you're the only one that really matches up. Public administration, nonprofit manager. Accounting / accounting. Can't go wrong. Accounting / finance. Can't go wrong. A Bachelor of Science in Physiology / nurse, right? Joey, right? Associate / jerk. Education / burnout teacher. Biology / private mortgage banker. Interior architecture / project manager. Music major / insurance executive. Horticulturalist / stay-at-home mom, but now I work at a greenhouse. Single mom / riddled with health problems. Yeah, that's a popular one. Carmen, I get that one. Veterinarian / furniture store owner, now retired. Stay-at-home mom of 3, business admin. RN, assistance dog trainer. Communications advertising. Pastry arts / mom. Degree in Spanish, legal assistance, no Spanish ever used. Communication / behavior coach, cosmetologist / foster parent liaison. Tammy, that's beautiful. That's so funny. Accounting / procurement analyst. Librarian / veterinarian pharmacist. Patricia. So interesting. All right, Lucy. Well, that still works. Speech pathologist / retired speech pathologist. There's only really a few that kind of match. The accountings match, the speech pathologies, all the pharmacists became pharmacists, but everything else just is like all over the place. That's why when kids are like, I don't know what I should get my degree in. I don't know what I should do. But like, girl, nobody knows. BFA in animation / IT director / Chris Bass. I think it was Tammy was the foster parent liaison, Shakendra. So we have some good people doing lovely things here. So we're talking about, what did you get your degree in? Oh, so Michelle, our finance Michelle, I didn't know she has a degree in psychology, and she is in finance now. You don't have a degree in finance? How'd you learn on it? What are you talking? Oh, you have to sit for all the tests, right? And do the certified financial planner, certified divorce financial planner. So the question was, what did you get your degree in? Where did you study versus what you're doing now? And so mine is that I have a degree in biology and a master's in gerontology. I'm a comedian. But there are lots of us out there who started, I think Missy started as an English major, became a comedian. But there's lots of us out there. Pretty much every comedian that you've met at some point had a real job and then was like, this is dumb, and decided to be poor with no money and put years and decades of life into it and become something fun. And our guest today falls right in line with that because he had a completely other career prior to becoming a comedian. We're so excited to have him on the show today. Let me give you an introduction because it's basically what we're talking about, these twists and turns and how did all this come together. And now he's like one of the most popular comedians on the internet. You can Google him. You can sit and listen to all his stand-up. He's so funny. And he's performing at Helium Comedy Club this weekend. So let me introduce him. Comedian Brad Upton was teaching 4th grade and coaching high school track in Pasco, Washington. When he first stepped on stage in 1984, he decided this is what he wanted to do. He quit his job in June of 86, never looked back. He's made a couple of cable TV appearances in the early 90s. He's headlined comedy clubs coast to coast, opened for big names, was hired to perform at corporate events. He was seeking the bright lights of LA or New York, but he chose to remain in Seattle. Why? Yay, we're going to find out. Where he and his wife of 35 years raised their now 28-year-old son and 26-year-old daughter, and he could continue his offstage hobby. In 2017, he taped a special for a brand new comedy platform called Dry Bar Comedy. I'm sure you've seen it. And things changed in a way that he never expected. Dry Bar released a clip of Brad in June of 18 with millennials that went viral with 12 million views in 48 hours, 33 million views in 10 days. It sent his CD to #1 on the iTunes charts and has him trending on Twitter. Today, that video has nearly 90 million views. And according to Dry Bar, it is the most viewed stand-up video ever. He's released 2 very successful specials on Dry Bar and has well over 200 million views on the internet. He's become a regular guest at the iconic Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, which we'll be at in just a couple weeks. And this weekend, you can catch Brad performing at Helium Comedy Club in Philadelphia. Please welcome to the show, Brad Upton. Hey, Brad.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You have such an amazing resume. Everybody's so excited that you're on the show with us today. So take a minute, introduce yourselves to everybody here who may not know you, and give us a little bit more info about yourself.
Well, I have a bachelor's in elementary education with a reading major. That's my educational background. Yeah, I started can you believe it's almost 40 years ago? It just shocks me to say that.
Yeah.
When I did my first open mic, and within about a year and a half, I had quit, and I've been doing it full time ever since.
So what is it? It's funny. I know a lot of teachers. I feel like there's a lot of parallels with teaching and stand up anyway. You're constantly getting heckled by people who should just be quiet. What was it? What made you do that first open mic?
Well, I tell people all the time, because they say that, well, that must be weird going from teaching to stand up. I go, entertaining a room full of drunks and a bunch of 10-year-olds. It is the same skill set. It's exactly the same. But I've been drawn to comedy for years. I've just been drawn. I liked it. I watched it. I loved it. And I was just drawn to it. Something was pulling me. And I finally went, I want to try this. Excuse me. So I finally signed up to an open mic. And drove to Seattle about 200 miles, and it went very well the first time I ever did it. And had it not, I may never have done it again.
Oh, I get that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and and then all of a sudden I was hooked. Once I did it and it went well, I was like, oh, well, I'm a comedian now. This is what I'm going to do forever.
And what did your family think? Because you didn't have, so if it was 40 years ago, you weren't married yet, right? You didn't have any kids yet. You were.
No, I was going out though with the girl that would be my wife. So we were going out at the time, and I didn't tell anybody because if I failed, I didn't want to fail in front of a bunch of people. I told my dad what I was doing, and I told my girlfriend / wife. And once I did it, the plan was too, when I quit teaching, was I'm going to give this a year, and if it doesn't work, I'll go back to teaching. So It wasn't the end of the world if I failed, because I always had teaching and coaching to go back to. That's still the plan. No,
still
now, but
always have a backup plan.
Yeah, my teaching degree is still valid, so I could go back.
That's awesome. So it said that you had these dreams of going to LA or New York, but you were like, Seattle is where we're keeping roots. Was it all just because that was where your family was from?
A little bit, and I was getting to be a big fish in the small pond, and I was busy, and my calendar was always full, and I would go down to LA once in a while to showcase and hang out, and I just went, I don't want to raise a family here. I have a house in the suburbs in Seattle. I don't think I want to do that yet, and I procrastinated enough to where I haven't done it yet. My son's in LA now. But I never went.
Now,
I didn't want to raise my kids in LA, and now my son's in LA.
Yeah, now he's there. Has he followed in your footsteps? Is he in entertainment in any way?
No, he's in I don't know what's the right title for it. They manage skyscrapers, a company that owns skyscrapers. That's what he's in. He manages skyscrapers for this company.
I love it.
Yeah.
So your career has spanned. We actually had. Do you know Andy Huggins?
I know who that is. Yes, I do.
Yeah, we had him on the show a couple weeks ago, and his story very similar. He's been doing it forever, and he had his big hit when he was on America's Got Talent. It was a really wonderful story. So tell me how Dry Bar comes about. Were you expecting that to happen? Like, what was your head at in that whole process?
Yeah, Bent Washburn, I don't know if you know Bent. He's a comic, very funny comic, and he was based in Salt Lake City, and I've known him for years. And he called me and he said, "Hey, Brad, there's this thing called Dry Bar." He goes, and he explained to me, it's clean comedy. I know you could do it. He goes, "I'm not the booker. I don't want to be the booker." But I told him I would find some people for them. And I told him about you, and they want to do it. He told me they're going to film specials, and they're going to put them online. And I thought, and this is how much they'll pay you. And I thought, okay, I'll just fly down to Provo for the weekend, and I'll get paid, and I'll never see another dime, and that'll be the end of it. But
Right.
That's what I really thought would happen to it, because Dry Bar wasn't a thing yet.
No,
So-
you were the OG of Dry Bar.
Yeah, exactly. So I taped that thing and then literally forgot about it. And about a year later, I started seeing clips from Dry Bar from some comics. And they had put some stuff up of mine several months later, but they got 40 or 50,000 views, which I thought was great. I thought, wow, that's a lot, 40,000. And so a year later, some guy started getting 1 million. So I emailed the guy back at Dry Bar and I said, "Hey, could you put up a clip of mine again?" Because I thought some of these clips I'm seeing aren't that good. So he goes, "That's a good idea. You first guys that did one." We didn't know what we were doing. We found out that longer clips work better than the short ones, because they were putting up like 1 minute long clips. He goes,
Right.
"The ones that are 4 or 5 minutes are doing better." He goes, "I'll do one. I'll put one up." And a week later, he put that clip up about millennials, and it just went nuts. It was crazy. And my wife and I were on vacation, and I told her on vacation, she said, "I don't want you to keep looking at your phone. Please, let's just have vacation." I go, "Okay, that sounds good." And then this thing just exploded, and I couldn't not. I was like, "It's got another 100,000. It's got another 100,000. It hit 1 million. It hit 2 million. And so for 4 days, I was watching these numbers click while we were on vacation, and it changed things. It really did.
So how does it change from that point? Because so that was in 2018, right?
Right.
When it explodes. So talk me through. So things start to get big, and then the pandemic happens. Talk me through that.
Yeah. It did. When we put that millennial thing up, and then I told them, let's put another one up right away. So I told them which ones I thought how they should edit it. And so by the end of the summer of 2018, I had 2 videos out there that had about 80 million views. So all of a sudden, I had a date in Spokane at the Spokane Comedy Club just a few days after that thing blew up. And when I drove up to the club, there was a line in front of the club. And I went, oh, something's changed. This is different. This is different. So that was 2018. And then for about the next year and a half, all of a sudden, my book was full. I was selling tickets. And then, there's more to this story too. As the summer of, 22 to 2021, I was getting sick. I was feeling really sick, and I had all kinds of problems with my sinuses and my esophagus and my lungs and chest, and that went into the pandemic. And all of a sudden, we're sitting at home doing nothing.
Yeah.
And which a lot of people have told me. I found you during the pandemic online, because I was sitting. So the pandemic, and Leanne Morgan, who everybody knows, Leanne Morgan, she'll tell you the same thing. A lot of people found her during the pandemic online. And so just about when everything started to open back up, I was really ill. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I wasn't missing any shows. I was just taking over-the-counter medicines to try and get on stage every night. And in April of 2022, is this too long of a story? I'm sorry.
No, I can't wait to hear what happens. Like, what?
In April of 2022, I was coughing so bad. I was in Connecticut. I wound up in an emergency room that night, and I was erroneously diagnosed with esophageal cancer. And so I was like, oh God, I got esophageal cancer. This is bad. This is a bad one. So I canceled all of my 2022, because I assumed that I was going to have chemo and radiation, and I was going to be very sick, and I may not recover from this. And I told Keith Stubbs at Dry Bar, I called him, because he had asked me about doing a second Dry Bar special. And I turned him down and I said, Keith, this is what I'm looking at. I go, I got to get this thing in the can right now. I need to get this second special done. And so I flew to Provo and I shot my second one. And that was in mid-May. And I was sick. And if you watch the video, you can see a couple of times. It's not real obvious. I had a great set. But there's a couple of times where I go, I'm having trouble breathing. I can't breathe. I can't. And but the thing went great. And 2 weeks after I shot that, I had a heart attack. And I had my right coronary artery was 100% blocked. I went into the hospital. They gave me 3 stents. Nobody more shocked than me because I've been a fitness fanatic my entire life. And I endured that heart attack for an hour before I went, okay, something's wrong. And I was in the hospital 3 days. I went home for 3 days, thought I was having another heart attack. I went back into the hospital. I was in the hospital for 8 days before I was diagnosed with an extremely rare form of vasculitis called EGPA. Only about 5,000 cases of it in the US. And it would have killed me had it not been diagnosed. And they figured it out. They put me on these meds. It suppressed it. I'm doing okay now. I take 8 pills every morning. I'm fine fitness-wise. My heart's okay, but it was quite a roller coaster. And at the same time, this second special took off and was blowing up. But those life lessons, you know, I'm blowing up right now. I'm working more than I've ever worked. I'm making more money than I've ever worked, and I'm about to cut way, way, way back.
Yeah.
And go have fun.
Sounds like you deserve it. You deserve a break.
Yeah.
It feels like
I didn't know that story was coming out of me that quickly, but
yeah,
I think we started on the first Dry Bar special, and I got all the way to my heart attack. So
that's okay.
Anyway,
You're
a long story.
You're a great storyteller. That's why I love having comics on. I think, and you could talk, or you could read the phone book, and we'd be like, "Then what happened?" So,
yeah.
That's amazing. You know what I think is, and I would love to know your thoughts on it, but like, it's so interesting. I don't know. Have you heard of the lady that does the fart walks?
Fart walks?
Yeah.
No, but now I'm intrigued.
Yeah. When we get off of here, Brad, you got to Google fart walks.
All right.
A great lady named Marilyn Smith. She's out of Canada. And she comes from, she has an acting background, but she also did some time in Second City. But she's also like a nutritionalist, and she's cooks and whatever. And same thing during the pandemic, she started making videos of her cooking. They started to take off a little bit. But her and her husband have like funny names for stuff. And every night after dinner, they go for a walk. And she made a video talking about the benefits of walking after dinner. Her and her husband call it her fart walk, and they walk every night. And she blew up, Brad, just completely blew up. And now she's trademarked hashtag fart walk. People are making videos of them fart walking everywhere. And so I asked her the same question, like, when you look at your 40 now years of being in this business, would it ever dawn on you that it would be at this point in your life that things really come together? Like, how weird is that for you that you've been doing it for so long? And people are like, he's an overnight success. You're like, if overnight was 40 years.
Right. No, you know what? It's been a very nice career validation. And I literally, about 2017, inside me, I went, you know, nothing ever big's going to happen. And that's okay. I'd made peace with that. And there's a lot of really good comedians who've been doing it a long time. They're really good. They just aren't famous. And I thought, well, that's all right. I've checked all the comedy boxes. I've had a successful comedy career. And I was literally starting to wind down when it blew up. So, nobody more surprised than me, and it has been a very nice career validation. Had I blown up when I was 35 years old, that might have been a different story. You know, when I blew up, I had all these comics telling me what to do. You should do this, you should do this. And at the time I said, I'm 64 years old. There's no 10-year plan. I'm done. I'm getting close to the end. So I just look at it as it's a very nice career validation. It's very satisfying, but do I think I'm going to turn it into superstardom at this point? Nah, I'm happy where I'm at. I'm very happy.
What has been some of the greatest perks since things have turned around? Like, have you met like people that you've loved working with, or what kind of opportunities have come since you blew up?
Yeah, I've been somebody in the comedy business for since then, I have. Well, I just did the talk the other day, a couple weeks ago on CBS. That was nice. That came from my popularity. I got on. I'm a regular at the Grand Ole Opry. I'm performing there tonight at the Grand Ole Opry. That came from those videos. The lady that books the Grand Ole Opry had seen them, and she goes, "Oh, I think you're great. I'll put you on." And so I went on the Grand Ole Opry, and it went great. And tonight I'm making my 17th appearance there. So that's pretty cool to walk out and stand in that circle at the Grand Ole Opry.
That is, I was going to say, tell me what the first night that you played there, what was that like?
My wife was with me, and she doesn't go with me very often. She just retired last month. But she came with me, and before the show, when I was backstage, I told her, I said, I think I'm getting nervous because I don't get nervous anymore. And I was like, I'm kind of nervous. And so I walked out. I mean, it's the Grand Ole Opry. It's the circle. And I stepped into the circle. There were 4,400 people in there, and they're really close. It's a beautiful theater, and the bottom is like a church, and the top is a steep balcony. So there's a lot of people, and they're close to the stage. And this was right after that video had gone viral. A lot of those people knew who I was, had probably seen it. So I did 12 minutes, I think, and I came off stage, and I told my wife, the first thing I said was, I think that's the best set I've ever had in my life. Aww. I mean, it just killed. And I was like, wow, that was pretty spectacular. Wow. And so I've been going back now. I go back, I ask them several times a year, and they usually put me up.
That's awesome. So you're there tonight, but you're heading to Philly. That's why we were
early tomorrow morning. I'll be.
Yeah, I was going to say we were hoping we'd have you in person, and we couldn't make it work because you had the Grand Ole Opry. Whatever, Brad, you couldn't be here.
Yeah, I'll be in Philly about 9:30. I land about 9:30 tomorrow morning.
Wow. So you'll be able to see Brad if you're in the local Philly area. He has a show on Saturday at 4 and on Sunday at 7. What did your kids say when you started showing up over the internet? I know it's we do videos on the internet that have gone viral, and it's always a little weird for my kids because their friends are showing them like, is this your mom? Like, what was that like for your kids?
Well, my son works in the corporate world, and some of his cohorts around the country are big fans of mine. And he just like, this is kind of embarrassing. One of the things I've done almost everything in comedy in the past 40 years. I checked every box. I had never done a national TV spot on a network. So when I did the talk 2 weeks ago, and I always wanted to do one, mostly to validate myself to my kids, right? Like, hey, Dad's on national TV. And so when I did it 2 weeks ago, neither one of them watched. They're like, oh, yeah, okay. And so I ended up cutting and pasting and sending them the clip. Hey, I was on TV, and they could care less. I mean, they cared, but I think they're over it. I mean, growing up their entire lives, their dad's been a comedian, and that doesn't seem so weird to them, I guess, which it's more to their friends have more questions. And they're like, it's just Dad.
Yeah, for sure. I remember years ago, I got a job hosting the show on PBS called Real Simple. It was based on Real Simple magazine. I don't know if that's your jam, but they had a magazine, a very popular magazine, and it would sit on like a magazine rack at, Barnes and Noble. And they started putting our pictures in the magazine, Brad. So my kids were little. They're all toddlers, right? But I know my pictures, and it was the first time. So I go running over. I go, guys. And I'm looking through, and they're like, can we get candy? And I was like, look. And I was like, look, there's Mommy. And I showed it to them, and they're like, cool. Can we get candy now? And I was like,
that's exactly right. You're like, wait, I thought this would mean something.
I was like, I'm okay. Nobody cares. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My dad owned a car rental franchise. And so when I turned 16, I was driving brand new rental cars. We didn't have a family car. I drove brand new cars. So to me, my dad was a rock star. I was like, are you kidding me? I got rental cars. To me, that was way cooler than if he'd been a comedian.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I have so many questions. Your career has just been so lovely. What if you said, like, do you have a big plan? Like, is there anything left on your list that you feel like here are the last few things I'd like to check off before?
Yeah, I mean, not comedy wise, not really. This is the other thing about all of a sudden start selling tickets. I now have an agent and a manager, which I'd never had in for 37 years. I didn't have one, and they showed up when I started selling tickets, telling me they could help me, and I'm like, yeah, really? Where you been the last 37 years? But I do. I have. I'm with the biggest agency in LA, and I have a big agent and a big manager, and that's how I got on the talk. And they're starting to submit me for some acting things, and I would like to do that. I would very much like to do some acting. That would be fun.
That's awesome. And I know that your comedy on Dry Bar specifically is always very clean. Do you ever do any kind of blue comedy, anything dirty?
No, not even. Well, I don't know. If you rode with me in a car, you'd hear foul language all day.
I would like
but not really. Even when I was just doing clubs on a late show Friday night, I was never dirty.
Yeah.
And I've traced it to the fact that when I first started, I knew my mom was going to come see me at some point, and I did not want to hear her complaining and bitching to me about what she didn't like. And she's 94 years old. She's still alive. So, and she's still ornery. And maybe if she passes away, I'll all of a sudden have a blue act. I'll finally go, well, mom's gone, so I can finally let her go.
Let loose.
No, I've always worked pretty clean. I don't expect to change at this point. Yeah. And I always had, when I wrote, in mind, is mom going to complain about this?
That's really funny. So I have 3 kids, Brad. They're not that much younger than yours. 24, 22, and 19.
Yeah.
And 2 of my kids are doing stand-up now, my oldest 2.
Oh, and how do you feel about that? Are you okay with that?
It's really funny. They're both really different. But my middle child, is always the problem child. My middle curses like a truck driver. And the entire time I just sit in the audience like this. And then she'll point to me. That's my mom. And she hates that I'm cursing. She doesn't care. So I love that you have this lovely respect for your mother that my daughter doesn't seem to have. But she is really funny. So
yeah, I don't know I don't know how I would feel if my kids wanted to do stand up. They've never. My daughter, I could see my daughter doing it. She's very creative and funny, and she's a writer. But I don't see her getting on stage and doing it. Yeah, I've worked with 2 different comedians, friends of mine, comics, who I worked with their dads.
Oh, so really?
It's very weird. Do you know Joe Larson? He's up in Joe Larson. He's in northern New Jersey. Yeah. And I worked with his dad when I first started, and a bunch of times. In fact, one time I went to pick up his dad, and Joe was 3 and, running around the house crazy. I didn't have any kids yet. And I remember waiting for Gary to come and get ready. And I was like, oh God, is this what it's like to have kids? No. And as soon as we walked out the door, you could tell he was so happy to go on the road and to get away from those little kids. And then 30 plus years later, I'm working with that kid. You know what I mean? We're doing shows together. It's very odd.
It is very funny. My kids are very ingrained in like the Philadelphia comedy market where I started, but I don't really play that much locally. I tour a lot more now. But it's very funny because if they're talking if they're hanging with my friends from comedy, they're like, oh, you're Dina's son, right? Which would be normal. But now if I go to Philly, they're like, oh, you're Dean and Jacqueline's mom. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, it's just funny. They know the 2 of them really well. And they're like, your mom does comedy? I'm like, okay.
Wow.
Been doing this.
You're like, I do.
Been around for a while. Yeah. Exactly.
How do you think they got so good? Yes,
yeah, exactly. Well, it's funny now because you know how so much of your stand-up comes from your life, your interactions and whatever. And something will happen between my son and I or my daughter and I, and then it'll be really funny. And we'll look at each other. I'm like, it's mine.
Yeah, I can imagine. I'm doing that bit. And
they're like, you can't have it. I'm like, mine will be funnier than yours. You're not that good of a writer, so mommy's going to write it. So it's mine. So it is. It's very funny. And so right now I'm touring with my son and my mom. So my son does about 15 minutes. I do an hour-long feature set. And then my mom headlines with a tight 4. And kills with her special sparkly shoes on. So it's a very, very funny time.
Oh, I'd like to see that show. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's good times. A couple nicely placed curse words that you shouldn't bring your mom. But it is a good time. Well, Brad, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. I think you have such an amazing story. You're truly an inspiration, whether you're a comedian watching this or anybody else, that if you have something that you love to do, try it, get yourself out there. You never know what can happen and what amazing.
No, that's right. I had a dream. I followed. I was scared, and I finally went and did it. And within less than 2 years, I changed careers, and I've been doing it ever since, literally living my dream.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, if you are in the Nashville area, head to the Grand Ole Opry tonight. You'll see Brad there. If you're in the Philadelphia or tri-state area, you can see him in Helium on Saturday and Sunday. But you can check out, I know sexy producer Michelle has put all of Brad's info. You can find him on Instagram and Facebook. Find out when he's going to be in your area soon and check him out. But thank you so much, Brad. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you, Dina. I apprate you having me on. I really do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great. Well, have a great weekend.
Thank you.
He is adorable. Who doesn't love Brad Upton? And you have to go see his shows. Gosh, I wish it lined up. So when we were in Nashville, he would be at the Grand Ole Opry. We'd be like, oh my gosh, we know him. He's so famous. So no, he's at the Opry tonight, Patty. He said it was his 17th time at the Opry. That's amazing. Happy birthday, John. John, congratulations. He is a 10. He is a 10. Jen, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling me. So what a great guest. Thank you. Let's hear for sexy producer Michelle again. Doing a great, you're not going to clap for yourself, Michelle? You're not even going to do the clapping thing? She's not going to do that. Okay. Saw his show on Facebook. He's the last. He's awesome. And I just think that there are so many comedians, who just have such an amazing ability for storytelling. And I think that his stand-up is very easy to listen to. It's very clean. You can, listen with your family, and your mom, your 95-year-old mom. But yeah, he's great. And I'm so thankful that he was able to join us. Next week, we have Finance Michelle back with us again. Also, I believe on Tuesday, right, Shell? So Tuesday is Michelle. Wednesday, we have Christina Kuzmik. She is going to be in the Philadelphia area coming up, and she's going to be with us. So I'm so excited to have her. We've never officially met before. So it's like two funny moms in the internet universe coming together. And it's always nice to promote great women doing great things. So I'm excited to have her on. So thank you, everybody, for joining us as always. If you like the show, do us a favor, share it. Let other people know what we're doing here in the mornings. And it's Friday. I hope you have some great plans for yourself and friends and family and all the fun things. But thank you as always for watching. And like Judy from Saskatoon, good time Andrea say, do something nice for yourself or others. And if there's something out there you've always wanted to try, go to an open mic, go, find some exciting thing in your soul that needs to be fed and go try it. You never know where things can end up. So be sure to check out his videos and get to see him live. Yes, new merch, fingers crossed, should be revealed tomorrow. So look up for that. I think they're super cute, and you guys have no idea what it is. You do. But you'll find out soon. So that's it. And stay tuned Sunday for our special edition of Voila on the main page with Cookie Spice. So lots of things happening. So that's it, everybody. Have a great day and a blessed day. And thanks for watching as always. And we will see you on Monday morning. All right. I'll see you. Have a good one. Bye.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed today's morning show, make sure to follow us for more One Funny Mother content.
Okay, all right. Morse code is tapping.
And check out OneFunnyMotherStore.com for great new inappropriate swag. And for more exclusive content, consider becoming a supporter.
She got a bad leg.
Thanks again, and we'll see you tomorrow on One Funny Morning.